Aloha, welcome to the Friday Aloha Marketing Jam Session. I'm Tom Gaddis, my business partner, Nick Ponte, on the call as well. We are excited to be here. Today, we're going to be talking about the key factors of success. Yes, you guys are going to love it. You're going to want to stick around. We're going to take your questions. We're going to share some shout outs. We're going to talk about why those people get those wins and really delve deep into that on this Friday episode of the Marketing Live Jam Session. Yeah. So why don't you grab a cool drink? I'm going to cue up the intro and we will see you in one momento.
It's now time. The moment you've been waiting for. Get ready for the fastest 60 minutes of marketing strategies and tactics to build your remote empire from anywhere in the world. After 167 agonizing hours, they've finally returned. From the sun-soaked Sin City and the sandy shores of Maui, Hawaii, now back for a brand new Aloha Marketing Jam Session. It's your hosts, the Offline Sharks and Remote Millionaires, Tom Gaddis and Nick Ponte.
Oh, man, listen to that crowd out there. They are fired up today, Nick. They are fired up.
Man, it's just not the same without you here, you know? Like last week when you weren't here, I was like, man, it's just not the same, you know?
I always feel the same way when you're not there. I'm like, I hope this is good.
Yeah. It's so
awesome.
Funny. So
happy Friday, Jacqueline. What's up?
Did you find a time machine or something? Because you're like, I mean, you look younger than I do right now. What's up with that?
Yeah, I shaved off the goatee. I got a short haircut. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go short. I shaved off the goatee. My plan was really to, I was going to grow it all in, like grow out a beard. And so I was like, well, I got to shave it off. So I was just going to shave it off last week, but then I was like, I'm going to go get a haircut. So I might as well just have her, do the face shave because I love those with the hot towel and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I just had her do it. And then I didn't tell anybody here at the house. And so I'm just in here working and Miranda and the girls came home and they looked in the office and Miranda was like, oh my God. And Paige was like, who is this person? You are not my father. She was like, no, this is not going to work.
Somebody call the cops. There's a mysterious man that broke into Dad's office.
Yeah. That's so great. Change. Pretty funny. Mm-hmm. So welcome. I see Norm on here, Jacqueline, James, Sandy, Bruce. Welcome, Marvin, Drobes, Patty. Man, we got an all-star lineup on this show today.
Jacqueline is also ratting me out for being a little slow on the money song, holding me accountable.
That's good. Enrique, what's up? Dorn. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, see, what normally happens around here is I go get a haircut, and then about 3 days later, somebody's like, did you get a haircut? No one ever notices. So right. I had to shake it up just to make them notice, just to make them notice.
You know what's funny about that? And it kind of ties into everything we're going to be talking about today is I also went and got a haircut recently, but man, it took me a while because I've been so freaking busy. I wanted to go so long ago and go get a haircut, but it took forever because I just had so much stuff going on. And now, even right now, look, I got pain on my hands. Look at this. Pain.
I was going to tell you on the last huddle, I was like, you're starting to look a little bit like a hippie there.
Yeah.
I was getting along.
Getting down to my roots in the North Shore of Paia, Maui with all my hippie friends. No, but I mean, like you said at the beginning, why do people struggle with their agency? Why do people struggle with making progress and making money online? I mean, for me, it always boils down to the systems, systems and personnel. And, thank God when our lives get increasingly busy, we have systems and we have personnel to hire and help us to do, the various things. I gotta be honest, Tom, my life is crazy right now. It's busy as all hell and stressful. And I woke up in the middle of the night last night and I was like, I can't sleep. Like, I got so much shit going on. I'm just stressed out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got back to the basics, right? Made a huge list. All of my most important next steps: agency, remodel, life, family. You know, my dad's got health challenges right now. We're trying to orchestrate him getting out here and then making it back to Hawaii and all these other things too. If it weren't for systems and the team, I'd be screwed.
Yeah, it's really, you know, it is really interesting how, you know, a lot of times when you're doing those things and when you're, you know, you're spending all this time to get this stuff in place, it feels like sometimes like you're like, why are we doing all this? Like, I know I just had a call with one of our Remote Millionaires members the other day, and she's like, she's doing all the right stuff, right? Like, she's prospecting every day. She's doing all the things she's supposed to be doing, and she's getting a tiny bit of traction, but not as much as she wants. And so a lot of times when you're in that situation, you feel like you're not doing something right. Like, because you hear, you know, look, every business and life goes through phases. And sometimes there are times when you are not like, you know, it's pretty relaxed. Like, you've got things in place, you've built stuff up, you know, like things are running along smoothly. But a lot of times in the beginning, especially, but even once you've got traction and you're like, the interesting thing about getting traction is like in the beginning, you're just trying to get this train moving, right? Which requires a lot of effort to take something from a standstill to putting it in motion. So, you know, you're doing all this work, you're excited, the progress isn't coming as fast as you want. All normal feelings, by the way. Like, everybody has those feelings. I have those feelings. Nick has those feelings. I was just at a mastermind last week, the Titans mastermind. There are a lot of, you know, there are 25 people there, right? Invitation only. 25 heavy hitting 24 because I was there. So 24 heavy hitting marketers that are just really crushing it, you know, and to talk to those people and hear that they have the same struggles, they go through the same stuff that you're going through. I don't know. It was really kind of, it has been relieving to me to hear that stuff. Cause one of the guys there was Tracy Childers, who was the founder of Wishlist Member with Stu McLaren. His dad is John Childers, who is a famous sales trainer that a lot of the marketing gurus went through his sales training. He has a thing called Childers Chunks. And Tracy we were having dinner one night, and Tracy is a super nice guy. He was telling me about how, you know, being an entrepreneur is such an isolation type of thing. And like, I totally relate to that, because I know when Nick and I have been building the agency and also in growing, you know, Offline Sharks and Remote Millionaires, you're doing it kind of in isolation. And a lot of times you're doing things and they're working, but you don't know if they're doing them right. And could we be doing them better? And yes, we're having some success, but like, is this the most efficient way to do it? And are we missing the boat? Could we be doing more to make more happen? And I know the other day, last week, Nick and I were on a call, and like we had a really good day, but like we were on this call, and if you were listening to it, you probably would have thought like the sky had fallen in. Like we were just dialing on like, well, how can we make this better? And why isn't this part working? And this thing was not happening the way it was supposed to. And we got to dial this in with the team, and we need to get this going. And it's like, when you're in that stuff, right? A lot of times it's just about doing the things that Nick said, which is, you know, you have to take a step back first. You have to take a step back and breathe and realize that, you know, you're right where you're supposed to be. That's always what I tell myself. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, whatever this current situation is, good or bad. And I just have to take a breath, and I have to really sit down and focus in on what absolutely needs to get done. Like, what are the highest priority things? What is the part I'm missing? And most of the time for me, it's like, what action and activity am I supposed to be doing right now that I'm not doing, that I've been putting off, or that I really don't want to do, right? And, you know, at the agency level, for me, that was sales and prospecting. Like, that's the thing I didn't want to do. You know, I didn't want to, like everybody says, like, look, the fastest way to get clients and generate business is to pick up the phone and call businesses, or to cold walk into businesses. Like, I didn't want to do that stuff. You know, my situation was I had to just really get in such a bad spot that I I had no choice but to do it. I always joke sometimes that I don't see the light, I feel the fire, right? So now I've gotten better at that over the years. And that's why I often talk about my journey, of entrepreneurship as being a becoming, right? I'm becoming the type of person that gets these things done and behaves in a certain way and has the habits of a successful person. I did not have those things in the beginning. Now, interestingly enough, had you asked me, Tom, are you an entrepreneur? I'd have been like, oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I know all about that stuff. I've read a gazillion books. I got that. Like I would have firmly believed that I had that, but I didn't. I had to learn that stuff. And the way that I learned that stuff was by taking action and having things that didn't work and finding things that did work and then doing more of the things that did work, even when I didn't want to do them, and keeping to move forward. So yeah, I know Nick had to step away for a second. So I know Nick showed you that the paint on his hand. So he's in Washington right now. So in the course of running the agency, doing all the stuff we do at Offline Sharks, he's also been remodeling a house that he bought. And so it's been like crazy. So, how do you deal with all that stuff, right? And he's talking about the level of stress, and his dad's having some health issues and things like that. So, I mean, life comes at us from every single direction, right? The thing we have kind of figured out for us is that we just have to keep doing the things that we need to be doing, moving the needle, regardless of what's happening around us. And that can be very, very hard to do. And a lot of days you don't feel like doing those things. You don't want to do them, but you just got to freaking roll out of bed and do it. So anyway, I digress a little. I'll get off my soapbox. What's up, JT? I see everybody blowing up the chat there. Awesome. Cool. Hey, one thing I do want to do is we're going to do some shark shout outs here in a minute, but I do want to give a big shark shout out to all of our new Remote Millionaires members. So, we opened up some spots, 25 spots into our Remote Millionaires program. I believe 22 of them are spoken for, or at least 20. And there may be some people that are kind of on a hold to get in. So welcome to everybody that's come in. It's been awesome getting on the intro calls with you that we do. It's been awesome seeing you assimilate into that community. We're really building an amazing group of people there. The Shark group is awesome, but the Remote Millionaires group is fantastic too. People just crushing it, taking action, celebrating wins, all that stuff. So really great to see everybody in there and appreciate everybody who's coming to that program. So Jacqueline, what's up? Says going around in circles. Yeah. Awesome. Well, why don't we do some shark shout outs? I know, so Nick's meeting with a plumber because he woke up in the middle of the night or a couple days ago and there was water everywhere. He had a busted pipe at the place. So they're working on fixing that. So let's do some shark shout outs and then we'll do our member of the week. And then we can take some questions from you guys. I would love to hear your input. I know we have a lot of people on here that are taking action and crushing it. Jacqueline, Norm, Richard, JT, Dorn. Who else is on this call? I mean, I see tons of people that celebrate with Patty, people that celebrate wins all the time, Zachary Smoose. So I would love to hear from you guys. Sandy, how you keep those things going. What are your kind of keys to, keeping the ball moving forward? And then we'll talk a little bit about, maybe how how I deal with some of those frustrating moments and the failure and some things like that. So, ow, woo, I hurt my finger. And when I went to clap my hands, I hit it. Ouch, that hurt. Okay. All right. So let's fire up some shark shout outs. So I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, and any sharks that were in Florida where the hurricane was, many prayers and good thoughts your way. I hope everyone was safe and made it through. A really good friend of mine was right in the area of Fort Myers where the hurricane hit. Luckily, his house made it through. His family made it through. He's been without power, though, for like 8 days. That was yesterday. So, if you're out there, our thoughts, our prayers with you. We hope everybody was safe and that you're getting things back together. So, all right, awesome. All right, let's do some shark shout outs. So I'm going to share my screen here. First up, a couple of guys we were just talking about. Bruce Mayo. Bruce signed a guitar store for a 3-website deal. He's moving to a new server, and he's adding a landing page. The one is an e-commerce store. So he charged $4,995 for that, plus $250 a month to do some retargeting for them. Oh, pardon my dog in the background. Somebody's coming home. $250 a month to do retargeting for them. And the client committed to increasing to $750 a month once all 3 of the sites are done. So awesome job, Bruce. Way to go. Amazing work. JT Trusdell. If you're in our, if you were here last week, Nick had JT on the live show. I love JT's story and all the things he's been able to do. I mean, it's so reminiscent of me and what I was doing and all that stuff. And what I love about JT is he's just an average person, right? But he's just following the systems and the processes and moving forward. But he closed a PPC deal with one of his old clients for $1,000 a month. And, good reminder to everybody on this call right now that those people that you've talked to before, like this is a continuation to build the relationship, right? Like, it can take time for people to, come into what you're doing and sign up. So don't just give up on them, right? Don't just send one email and be like, oh, that's it. They said no. Do some follow-up. Think of ways that you can build that relationship. What kind of value can you bring to that person? Are there things you could send them to help them out, or referrals you could send their way, or things like that, so you can build that stuff out? So congratulations, JT. Really, really awesome work. And I see one of our Facebook users says they're in Punta Gorda and my town got hit. Oh, I'm glad you made it out. Okay. Yeah. Glad you made it out. All right. Okay. And Shushan, one of our team members, she was in Jamaica. Yeah. You get those down there too. Awesome. Okay. So Bruce and JT, excellent work. Here we go. Let's go. Who's next? Devendra, he shared a few recent wins. He and his business partner, Nick, had. They got $1,500 for a new website. The client paid them 100% upfront. I love that. Devendra. Really great that you did that. He closed a restaurant web design and menu redesign for $600 a month plus $96 a month. Content creation, client for 4 pieces of static graphic images. So excellent there, Devendra. It's interesting. I know we have several people in our community that that target restaurants and work in that space. I did a lot of work with restaurants with my mailer and some other things for them, social media and stuff like that. An interesting side note about the event I was at is one of the guys that I was sitting next to, he was the guy who started owners.com, which is a website that helps individually owned restaurants get their marketing in line. He recently just sold that company for $100 million. Pretty crazy. And he's a really young guy. But I was talking to him about like what they do and how they do it there. They do a lot of paid media stuff. So maybe we'll be able to get some insight from him down the road and about what they're doing and how you guys can help those restaurants up front. So great job, Devendra. Excellent. Storm and Norman, as I call him, signed a new $3,200 a month SEO client who also paid $200 for a top ranking article. So one article, $200, $1,100 a month for 8 high ranking articles for the second business to the previous one. So congratulations, Storm and Norman. That's awesome. Next up is Ash Butler. Ash closed a new site build to her accountant, 599 pounds, that's $670 and traded annual maintenance, hosting an optimization package for tax services. That's awesome, Ash. I love that picture there, the deer. That's great. And that also too, I love these shout outs because they're such good reminders of what we should all be doing, right? What we should be doing. So, getting some cash collected and then bartering for tax services for your agency. I mean, that's a great deal, right? A CPA, a good tax person, they can save you a lot of money. And it can be, it can get pricey to deal with those people. So really great work figuring out a way to make that happen for your business and doing it in a bartering situation and still collecting some cash on the side of that. And then Nick Ponte shared 2 recent wins from the agency, $5,800 a month Google Ads campaign, first payment of $4,900 for a 6 to 7K website build. So just 2 of the wins there. So excellent job. Excellent job. So for those of you that are keeping track at home, that's a reported revenue, a combined total of $24,111 for the week of October 1st through October 7th. A grand total of $1,182,057 since the start of 22. So I'm going to go over here and give you guys a big round of applause because those are really awesome. Here we go. Yes, there we go. Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations. Yeah. And, we're in October, right? So another thing to start thinking about with what's coming up are the holidays. The holidays are just around the corner. They will be here before you know it. So now is a really good time to be prospecting, to be reaching out, just because, November and December can get very hectic for people. And if you're not there yet, if you're not at that prospecting stage, now's the perfect time to get your feet in and start building up your systems and processes so you can hit the ground running in the new year. The start of a new year is always an amazing time to prospect and bring in new clients and get things going because everybody's refreshed. They're excited. They want to really crush it. They want to do things better than they did the year before. So, keep an eye on that as well. So you can use this time. I always like to use November and December as my learning time, building things in, implementing, doing a lot of thinking about how I'm going to do business better in the following year so that I'm prepared and ready to hit the ground running when January rolls around. That's right, Marvin. Fourth quarter sets you up for a successful new year, for sure. For sure. Fantastic. And that is, look at that, a combined total. We got that. Awesome. And I think, is there a banner I'm supposed to add there? Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Shushan does such a great job with that stuff. It's always just in there. I always forget about it, but it's in there. Fantastic. So congratulations again to all the shark shout outs. And why don't we do our member of the week? So every week we like to pick out somebody who either celebrated a win, got some traction, maybe got their first client, they generated their first amount of revenue. Maybe they're just a good steward of our Facebook community, answering questions, helping people out, doing all that stuff. But a really big win that we love to celebrate is when somebody gets their first client. I mean, that is such a big milestone moment. And it really doesn't, the revenue that you get from that client really isn't important. That first client is such a big, big deal for almost everybody. And so for the member of the week, we send them out this. This is our Shark swag treasure chest. Only the recipients know what's inside, but you get one of these mailed right to you. And let's see who our member of the week this week is. Here we go. Let me get my screen up here. This week, here we go. Our member of the week is Ash Butler. Picked up her first client and excitedly shared it with the community. So congratulations, Ash, on being our member of the week. Congratulations. The team's going to reach out to you. We're going to get that treasure chest sent out to you. Maybe you guys can do us a favor. Just blow up Ash's feed here in the comments, congratulating her, telling her good. That picture still cracks me up. So awesome job, Ash. Really great work with what you're doing. Cool. All right. Let me go back to the comments here. Let's take some questions. Norm says he's planning sleep next year. Yes, that's good. Congratulations. Okay. Let's see. Jacqueline says it's accounts time for her and she's planning for 2023. That's awesome. Anybody have any, I'd like to hear from some of the people out there. Like, what are some of the things that you do that you feel like, especially those of you that are taking action and getting traction? What are some of the things you've been doing that you feel are like your keys to success. I know, when people come into the Remote Millionaires program, especially, one of the things that you kind of notice right off the bat is that most people are just trying to do too much. They're trying to do too much all at once. They're trying to roll out 5 different services. They're trying to do, 10 different ways of prospecting. Like, they're just doing too much. So a lot of what we do in Remote Millionaires is really scale that back and say, hey, like, let's really focus on the fundamentals. And like Nick mentioned, the keys to success, the systems and processes that get the basics done for you on a consistent basis and do it at a high level. Those are the things that are really going to move the needle. And most of the time, even, when I talk to people, even when they have a lot of clients, they still don't have a consistent prospecting system going Monday through Friday. Like, they have a lot of clients because they've got them however they've gotten them, right? But they don't have prospecting that happens Monday through Friday every single day. That's a basic foundation of an agency, right? That action needs to be happening every single day. And, getting that in place should be your first and foremost priority. Like, how can I make sure prospecting is happening every day, whatever that looks like for you? The second thing I see a lot of people is they always want to know, well, what niche should I go after and what service should I offer? But I'm going to make a suggestion to everybody listening in on this call. I think that's the wrong things to be focused on, right? The niche and the service are 2 of the least important things when you're trying to build something like that out. And you'll see, if you go back on this live show and look at our shark shout outs and all those things, you'll see people doing all kinds of services in all kinds of different markets, right? I mean, today we even had somebody close a deal to a guitar store. So all kinds of different stuff, and it's working. So why, what is it then? If it's not the niche and it's not the service, right? And it's usually not the prospecting method either, right? So then what is it? Well, it's, again, right back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, the systems and the processes, learning those skills, getting those things set up so they're happening Monday through Friday, especially for prospecting, and you're moving forward, right? You may not be getting a lot of traction. You may not be closing any deals, but that stuff is happening Monday through Friday. Because here's what happens when you do that. You're going to learn a bunch of skills that apply to every niche, every service, anything that you could go into. So the same skills that you developed when you're, like, let's say that you just pick websites and you pick home services as your niche. The processes and systems you have to set up to prospect for that on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, those same things apply to any other niche and service that you want to sell. So it's really about getting comfortable with the skills and learning those skills. And then here's another really key part. When you start taking action, once you're taking action and it's happening, like you prospect, the prospecting happens Monday through Friday, you now have results that you can go back and analyze and figure out how to do things better. It's very hard to do that when you're not taking the action. Trying to figure out why people aren't calling you back or why you're not closing deals is very difficult to do in a vacuum. It's much easier to do when you're actually taking the actions and you have things that you can look at and say, okay, well, I prospected Monday through Friday. Like, nobody responded to my initial thing. Well, why is that? Well, maybe it's the way I reached out to them, or we can try different things, right? We can start adjusting and changing and moving you in the right direction. So that's a really important step. All right, I'm going to go into some of the comments here. It says, here's a win. I don't know who this is, but says they outsourced for the first time. Congratulations. Yep. Ash, I shaved off the goatee. Okay. All right, I'm going to scroll up here because I want to hear some of the comments you guys have because I feel like I've been talking a lot. Here we go. Dorn said public speaking. So that's one thing he's been doing. Norm says exercise and balance. Yeah, that's a great one too, Norm. I know everything's connected, right? I have found the more I pay attention to my health, to my general well-being, the more effective I am at doing the things in the business. And that's been, kind of a long road for me. But like, the more I do that, the more I can do that, it definitely impacts everything else. So that's a good one. Marvin says, emails warming up my list for my call to see how I can best serve them. Yeah, that's a great one, Marvin. Right. Talking to them, finding out like what is the things they're struggling with? What are the problems they're facing? How can you help them fix those things, right? How can you best serve them on that? Dorn says, we have 3/4 of a month to generate. Oh, that's right. We could hit 2 million. They said needs to eat more tacos. That's great, Michael. Okay, let me look at this question. Total newbie here that's just getting ready to send up my first pitches. Ready to learn all I can. I'm thinking, oh, well, thank you. I can't see who that is. If you log into StreamYard, I can see who you are there, but great job. You're going to crush it. Just keep at it. Systems and processes, right? Norm, who has really been crushing it, says, identify what the focus is and dive deep and embrace failure. Yeah, I always say my favorite saying is never let failure go to your head, right? Interesting about this, Norm, because there's different ways. I mean, it can be very frustrating when you're not getting traction, right? It's not an easy thing to deal with that and to keep at it and keep readjusting. I know I think I shared this a couple of weeks ago. Nick and I, there are things in our businesses that we literally failed at for 3 years. Like 3 years we were working on this thing and couldn't get it to work. And then finally we were able to get it. Most people would give up way before then. And that's a shame. You just have to keep at it. You don't know how long it's going to take, but if you just keep moving forward, eventually you'll get some type of success, maybe that's just your first client. Maybe that's just your first 5 clients or your first new deal for a new service, but embracing that failure, that ability to keep moving forward. For me, it goes back again to, exercising, monitoring my health, making sure I'm taking time to step away from the business and do other things with my family and stuff like that, so that I can keep a level head and a good mental state about what I'm doing and handle that kind of stuff. But another note I saw about this that I found very, very interesting was I was watching some random channel on Hulu the other day, and it was a business thing. And they were talking about entrepreneurs, great entrepreneurs, things like that. And they were talking about Thomas Edison. And has anybody heard that story about Thomas Edison and the light bulb? About, 10,000 ways not to do it. Like how he did like all these different ways and they didn't work. But then he was like, when they asked him, he said, oh, well, I found 10,000 ways not to build a light bulb, right? And a lot of people use that as a story to focus on how to handle success and how to think about success. Well, this particular show was saying how that probably never happened. Like they can't find where Thomas Edison ever said that. And the reality of what Thomas Edison did with the light bulb was this. He knew he was going to have to do a lot of testing to figure out how to make it work. He also knew that for the light bulb to even be successful, there was a bunch of other things that needed to be figured out, right? Like there was at the time, nobody knew how to even build an electrical grid or do those, right? Like there were a lot of other things that had to happen for the light bulb to be able to take off. So how did Edison deal with that? Well, he built a team. He started Edison Labs. And he had this team of inventors and people, like he would come up with ideas and send them to the lab and they would test them and flush them out. And he had other people working on how are we going to build out this electrical grid? How are we going to make this work on a large scale? So he was really, the secret was outsourcing. He could not do it all himself. So he had the labs, he had a team. He's generating ideas. They're testing everything like crazy. They're they're figuring all this stuff out over here, testing all that. And that's what allowed him to be the one that brought that technology out. Because not only did he figure out the light bulb part, but he was also figured out the infrastructure part. And that's how his company and his lab and all that stuff was able to grow up. So I found that story super, super interesting because I've probably even said the 10,000 ways not to build a light bulb on webinar trainings. I just thought, oh yeah, well, that's just what it is. But I find the other story even more interesting. So the secret to the success wasn't the failure. The secret to the success was that he had a team, and the team was helping him implement all that stuff. So he was outsourcing. He was outsourcing, building a team so he could get more done and move forward quicker. So super interesting to me, I thought. Let's see. Norm says prospect. Richard, who is a new member of the US, said work through things from start to finish and be disciplined. Yes, discipline. Oh, I hate the D word, Richard. I hate the D word. The last thing I want to do is be disciplined. Like I always want, can anybody else relate to this? Maybe you can put this in. I just want the advanced course. Like just send me the advanced method. Send me I'll just start there. I oftentimes think that I can just skip all the stuff before and just do the advanced method. But the reality is I have discovered I can't. I have to start back at the basic fundamental stuff, work through that stuff, get it all going, and then move into the advanced. Every time I've tried to just go to the advanced thing, it has not worked out well. So a lot of times, and I used to say this all the time when we were first starting Offline Sharks, to Nick and I, it felt like we were moving very, very slow in comparison to the people around us, because we would go on and see people talking about all the different things they were doing, and they're trying the new this and they're trying the new that, and they're on to the next fad. And we were just like plugging away with very basic things in our agency: websites, SEO, social media management, reputation, pay-per-click. And we just kept plugging away at those things. And like, oh, we're going to hire people to help us outsource. And how do we, and we just we felt like we were moving super slow. But then one day we looked around and we had passed all of those other people that had been going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And they were still doing that same thing. They were on one thing one week and the next thing the next week and the next thing the next week. But because we were able to stay disciplined and just focus on one little thing at a time, right? We didn't start with all 5 of those services. We started with just websites. Once we had that dialed in and we were getting some traction, then we added in SEO. Then we added in social media management. Like it's been a process, right? So great comment, Richard. Great comment. Yes, self-discipline. Man, I'm like the least I mean, I'm much better, but boy, I struggled with that. Let's see. I'm looking through the comments here. Richard says there's a guitar store on every corner here in Nashville. Yeah, I bet there is. Yeah, bet there is. Jordan says action brings traction. That's a good one. That's a good one. Chris says Warrior Plus is addicting sales or my money. Yes, I can relate to that, Chris. I can relate to that. Yeah, this is a good one. Dorn says stop buying stuff. Yep. Look, so I have a couple comments about this too, Dorn, because I think there's two things about this. And a lot of it depends on where you're at in your business and what you're doing. Because I know sometimes like we talk about shiny object syndrome and all those things, and you should stay with it. I'm going to say one thing, though, that may be contrary to what most other people think, but I really believe that this is the case. When you're brand new and you're trying to learn this stuff, get a grip on what's going on and figure it out, I think buying a lot of different things and looking at them is very valuable, right? It's valuable to get that aspect of it. I also think when you're starting out, and this goes back to what I said before about picking the niche and picking the service are the two most least important things about it. I know that I tried a lot of different niches and a lot of different services in the beginning of my agency. A lot of them didn't work out, but then eventually I hit one that did. So, but had I not done all that, I wouldn't have learned what I learned. And a lot of that stuff I learned back then, I use now. So here's the thing. If you're in the early stages, yes, absorb, consume, learn, but separate it from the thing we always talk about here, the revenue producing activities. Make sure, like, if you're going to do that, great, but prospect in the morning first. Like, prospect first and then spend your afternoons going through all that stuff. So at least you can feel better that you're doing the revenue producing activity. Don't just get caught up in the endless learning cycle. Did you get all that stuff worked out?
Man, most promising niche to go after in 2022 and 2023.
Plumbers.
Emergency plumbing services. Damn.
That's great.
Crazy.
That's great. I was having people put in there some of the things that they found for key to success, and we just been talking about them. So here's somebody who just got found a client. A
Nice.
newbie shark found a client. Awesome work. Sandy says, yes, the struggle is real. Nick can relate to that one right there. He does know the struggle is real right now.
Struggle is very real right now, Sandy.
Yep.
Richard said that shiny objects are a key part of the process or you'll have nothing to sell. The key is to stay entry level until you're using it to make more money. Yeah, I agree to that too. Like, and I've said this a number of times before where, getting your foot in the door is like usually a pretty simple strategy. The advanced stuff, most of the time, until you have the basic stuff really worked out and you've done it consistently, most of the time the advanced stuff is very difficult to really get going out of the gate. It really is. So you got to be able to look at the shiny objects and be like, is this even something that I can actually do right now? Or is it just sound good on a landing page? But you gotta think about the application of doing for yourself. Can I reach out to businesses? That I can do. Can I walk in? Can I make calls? Can I send emails? If any of those aren't your things, what is your thing? And attach that to whatever it is you're about to buy. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you're a member of this community and you have one of our products, that is a battle-tested product. It works. You don't really need anything else. You should use that one product, get some wins, and if you want to get something else later to grow what you have, then do that. But if you have one of our products and you haven't gotten that traction yet, then it's probably a matter of consistency or quality, or maybe circling back around and making sure you didn't miss something.
Yeah.
Qualifying, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that because Todd Brown spoke at that little mastermind thing I was at. And one of the things he said right out of the gate was that the people he works with that are the most successful, his most successful clients, none of them are focusing on the latest hacks, the latest thing. None of them are focusing on that. They're all focusing on the basic fundamental stuff, the things that every marketer knows they should be doing, but they just don't. Those are the things they focus on. And another guy that was there was Stephen Pressfield from the War of Art and Turning Pro. And, his whole thing is that's what you you just have to sit down and do the work, right? That's basically his whole thing. Sit down and do the work, one thing at a time. So let's see.
For me, that's, one of my, till this day, when we opened up this live stream today, I mentioned it. My way to stay productive and stay consistent and stay on task is my list building, my daily action plan, my daily, like I said, most important next step every day. MINS. We talk about this in Remote Millionaires. You got a client. What's the most important next step to onboard that client? What's the most important next step to start delivering the work for that client? The fulfillment. Is it an ad campaign? What's the most important next step? Do you need to learn a little bit of Google Ads? Do you need to hire somebody to do some Google Ads? You have to, break it down in a little bite-sized chunks. After our homie Childers, John Childers. Break it down into chunks, these are chunks for me. I have 1, 2, 3. looks like an airline cockpit in here with like, you know, I got different post-its everywhere because it's like, you know, all areas of my life. It's not just the business side. It's like businesses and, you know, different things. I mean, life gets busy. It's only going to get busier. How are you going to stay on track? How are you going to keep the ball moving forward in the most productive way every single day? Well, you need to leave off the day, every day, and line up the next day ahead. You know, at the end of the day today, I'm going to make my action plan for tomorrow. You know, that way I can try to go to sleep tonight and not wake up in the middle of the night stressed out, because I can wake up tomorrow morning and know that I'm picking up where I left off the day before.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Norm's talking about here. Budget and audit your time, make plans, right?
It's the most I probably can attribute to like anything that has ever made progress in my life is like by following that method.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because too, sometimes when people come on our team, we always we do the time tracking thing, and some people are very resistant to that. And we're like, look, we're not trying to like control every minute of your day, but like for us to be able to effectively optimize what we're doing and for you to be efficient at what you're doing and get the best results, like we have to know what's going on. Like it's not a control thing. It really is from the standpoint of like, well, okay, when we're not getting the results that we want, we can go back and look at that and say, hey, this is probably why, right? More information, more data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, look, here's somebody who's on the way back from a new client meeting with a bar with 3 locations, went super well, and they have to write a proposal. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but congrats. That sounds like a good potential lead up ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Chris, that's exciting. I'm excited to see Inside RM. Yeah, we can get an intro call set up for next week. That'd be great. Let's see here's what Dorn said. Dorn said, you can buy stuff. You just have to buy stuff from reputable producers. Yeah, a wall of shame.
We do need a wall of shame.
Well, we do have an internal naughty list, Dorn, just so you know.
There is a naughty list.
There is a naughty list.
You guys would be surprised as to how many people try to get us to promote their shit.
Pretty crazy. Yeah. Doug says there are 2 parts to learning. 1, sales, what the product service can do and how it helps the end user. And 2, technical, how to implement. You only need to spend time on the first until you get the first customer. Then you have to learn the second. So true. Like I'm that kind of guy. Like I'm the sell first, ask questions later. Like sell first, figure out how to do it after I get the check. Which, by the way, that's not always as rosy as it sounds. Like sometimes it can be a little stressful, but you can do it both ways, especially if you follow a lot of what we teach. And you know what? All right, I'll give you a little sneak peek of one of the things that we really drill home with our Remote Millionaires members. And that is the sales, the fulfillment part and the sales and prospecting happen together. They happen at the same time. And that's why we have a very specific process for it. So oftentimes what people do is they pick a service they want to do. They go out, they get a client, and now they're scrambling to find fulfillment because they're not really sure what to do, right? So we kind of flip that on its head. We start looking for our fulfillment people first while we're prospecting. And here's a couple of things that happen. Or maybe you can even do it before you start prospecting, because maybe you don't know a service. Like maybe you want to do social media, but you're like, Tom, I don't know anything about social media. How am I going to go out to sell it? So there's a few things you could do. You could get a course on social media. Like we have what is it? Online revenue system? Is that it? Online revenue system is about social media management. It's got a nice little software to help you find clients. Like that's a great little strategy, right? So you could use that to start getting some traction. And then if you are already out looking for a fulfillment person, there's some other things that would happen while you find the fulfillment person. You would post a job on some place like Upwork. People are going to apply. They're going to tell you what they offer. So this is what they'll tell you. This is what I can offer you for social media management. A lot of times they will have their own set packages, or they'll have worked with other clients, and you can ask them, well, what packages do you typically do? What do you find you are doing the most? you're making notes fiercely about that stuff, right? Well, what packages do you offer? Okay, these are the 3 packages you have. These are the ones that seem to do the best. Well, what are you going to charge me for those packages? And 2, when you see things you don't know, you can just ask them like, oh, well, I don't know what this is. Like, what is that? Explain it to me. And they'll explain it to you. So when you're done at the end of that process, even though you went in not knowing anything about social media, you will, at the end of it, you'll know what packages you have available to you. You'll have a person that you know can deliver those packages. Those are going to be the things that you're selling. So now you have all the information you need to go out and sell those things. Plus, you're going to know what your hard cost is. So you're going to know how you can price that service for maximum profitability. Like, look at all that information you learned only because you were taking action and doing the process. Plus, you now have gotten closer to mastering a skill that is invaluable, and that is being able to find people that can do the work for you. So now if you want to go find somebody to do another skill, it's going to be a little easier because you've been through that process already, right? See how this is all connected there? So,
I mean, I use this just in life in general. Like, I like the analogy, and I've been using this a lot lately in the remote millionaires trainings, is that like a general contractor, it hits home for me right now. You know, remodeling this house, we got to do floors, we got to do paint, we got to do plumbing, we got to do electrical. You know, we have to do all these things. In the digital side, the digital agency space, you know, we got to build websites, we got to write copy, we got to get graphics, we got to set up ads, we got to do tracking. Subcontract all those things out. You're a general contractor. You know, there are all those things that I said. There are incredibly smart, talented, expert freelancers out there that can help you with this stuff. Just like if you're remodeling your house, you know, I got plumbing guys here right now. I got no business setting up plumbing, you know. I'm gonna hire an expert, and you can do the same thing in your business in the digital space. You should be. You should be.
So I have a question for everybody on here because I know we're coming to the top of the hour. We're going to give away some Cash App money here in a minute, but who would like a behind the scenes view of landing a $1,500 a month client? Anybody like to see that process, how that works?
That's probably one of the best videos I've ever made, in full transparency, because I took the time to like cut it up, you know, get on a sales call with somebody, Chandra. I brought in a lead, took the call. I played the tape on a recording for all of you and paused it every time I was about to say something or what I was thinking, the reason I would like close or handle this objection or think it through. I explained why I said that. What did he say that made me want to say this? So for those of you that don't know what to say on sales calls or think you don't have you're not doing a good job with it, just listen to what I say, you know, and it's a pain in the butt to make this kind of video, but it's probably one of the most, you know, better videos out there on my YouTube channel just because of how important it is.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a link scrolling across the feed right now, offlinesharks.com/directors-cut. Just go to that link. We put it in the comments too. You'll see the video. You'll see what Nick's talking about. Really a great one to watch and see how we did that. And like Nick said, here are the behind the scenes. I know for me, it's much more comforting when I can hear somebody doing those things with an actual client, because I get a sense for like, okay, yeah, that's what it's supposed to sound like, and this is how I do it. So we appreciate you taking the time out of all the stuff you have going on, Nick, to make those videos. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, and everybody levels up from those videos. That's why we do them. You know, so if you haven't seen that, you guys, it's a free video. You can go check it out. Link on the screen, offlinesharks.com/directors-cut. Check it out. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And we are at that time of the show where we need to.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter.
Yeah, there's the money song.
Man, we're giving the money away.
We
Our two winners.
Yep, 2 winners. You got it, Nick. Tell them who it is.
Our 2 winners are Tyann Nelson and Enrique Jacquet.
Congratulations, Tyann and Enrique. I saw Enrique making comments in there. So, hey, if either of you can do us a favor, either post your cash app tag, you're in the thread here, or someone from our team will reach out to you and we'll get you your prize money sent over. Again, we appreciate you hanging out with us on this Friday. It was a really great live show. Got a lot of great feedback. I love the comments. I love the things. You should take some time to go through the thread and read some of the suggestions people made. I think we got a lot of them, but there's some other ones in there. Really great tips and things for taking action, doing that kind of stuff. And then also head over to offlinesharks.com/director-cut. Watch the video, landing 1500 month client. You're going to love that. You get a ton of value out of it. If you have any questions, ask us in the Facebook group. You can always hit up our support desk, offlinesharks.com/support. And yeah, excited that you guys all hung out with us today on Friday. We'll see you here next Friday. Same Shark time, same Shark channel. Until then, stay safe out there. Practice aloha, and we will see you all next week.
See you, everybody.
You've been watching the Aloha Marketing Jam Session, your weekly marketing live show, always bringing you the latest strategies and tactics to build your remote empire from anywhere in the world. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this stream. You can stay up to date throughout the week with the Remote Millionaires Podcast at remotemmillionaires.com/podcast and Nick's YouTube videos at nickponte.com/YouTube. We'll be back here next Friday for another live show. Until then, aloha.